What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, hummingbird? Well, the word is fraud. The word is scheme. The word is criminal. Let's talk about Karika Wortham from Atlanta, Georgia. Karika Wortham was a 38-year-old lady who worked for Amazon in one of their Atlanta facilities, and she worked there as a manager. So her and six other people came up with this idea to defraud Amazon, this big, giant, multi-billion dollar corporation, out of $10 million. So how do they do it? So she worked as a manager. So she was the one that would sign off on invoices that they would get from various vendors. So she came up with this idea to concoct fake invoices for fake vendors, sign off on them because she was the manager, and submit them to Amazon for payment. So Amazon thought that these were actual vendors that provided some type of a good or service for the company, and they would start making these payments. But these payments were going directly into Karika Wortham's bank account. So she had set up several bank accounts, probably under, fictitious names, etc., fictitious company names. And Amazon was just dishing out the money left and right, left and right, left and right, to a tune of $10 million. So she gets arrested for all of that, but she's able to bond out. So while she's out on bail, do you think that she's being a good little girl, keeping her nose clean and waiting for her trial? Absolutely not. She gets involved in a whole nother scheme. So she gets in contact with this company that owns hookah lounges, but they own hookah lounges to be purchased as franchises. So just like you would purchase a McDonald's franchise from McDonald's, you would purchase a hookah lounge from this particular company, and you would be the franchise owner of that particular hookah lounge. So she was interested in purchasing a lounge as a franchise owner, and the company that she was working with did a background check on her. And so they see these criminal charges where she had, where she was charged with defrauding Amazon. So they asked her about it. They're like, excuse us, Ms. Wortham, we see here that you have some criminal charges that were pending because you intended to defraud Amazon. Well, she told them that those charges were dismissed. So they wanted to see proof of that. So what does she do? She concocts fake court documents, forges a judge's signature, and forges an official court seal on these fake court documents and presents them as her proof that these charges against her were dismissed. Well, she gets busted for that. She gets busted for that. So while those charges are still pending, she gets convicted on her Amazon charges, and now she faces 16 years in federal prison. Now, she got almost $10 million from Amazon. What did she do with all this money? Well, she bought a $1 million home. She bought I think it was like a 2020 Lamborghini, a 2021 Dodge Durango, a 2022 Tesla, a 2018 Porsche, and a Kawasaki. So do you think that when she goes to prison to do her 16 years, do you think that she's going to keep her nose clean and just do her time and then, come out? No, I'm pretty sure that while she's behind bars, she's going to be involved in some other criminal activities. Her co-conspirators did not get as much time as she did because she was considered the ringleader. So yeah, she's facing 16 years in federal prison. Moving on from there, JamieFoxx. JamieFoxx has been seen out and about. He was seen on a riverboat cruise in Chicago. He was seen playing golf at Top Golf. Everybody's saying that he looked great. He was functioning normally. His limbs were functioning normally. He didn't seem like he was paralyzed or half blind or limping or any of that. He was like in perfect form. So praise be to God that JamieFoxx is now back to health, and he's doing really, really well. Also, someone else who is off of the sick and shut-in list is Madonna. Madonna has been, I think she's been released from the hospital. If not from the hospital, she's definitely been released from ICU because she landed in ICU for several days after suffering a very nasty bacterial infection. Now, a lot of reports that I read said that the reason why she ended up getting sick was because she was doing too much at her age. She's 64 years old. She's still out there performing, doing concerts. And they said that she was trying to keep up with the youngins, the Taylor Swifts and the Beyoncés of the world. And because she was pushing herself too hard, she got this really nasty bacterial infection. Madonna, you're 64 years old. It doesn't matter how tight you've pulled your skin, how plump you've made your butt. You are still a 64-year-old woman with 64-year-old bones and 64-year-old cells. Please sit down somewhere. But she plans on going on tour later on this year, both in Europe and in America. So good luck to that. Please, Madonna, just take it easy. Moving on from there, let's talk about Rayne Wilson. Now, Rayne Wilson is one of the main stars of the show The Office. Now, I myself never got into The Office. I attempted to watch a few episodes. I'm not that crazy about that Steve Carell character. He like really irritated me. But anyways, to me, The Office cannot hold a candle next to Seinfeld or next to Frasier. It just can't. But it is what it is. A lot of people love this show. A lot of people have binge watched The Office several times. They sing the praises of this show as if it was the next best thing since sliced bread. But I myself never really got into it. So anyways, Rayne Wilson was on the Bill Maher podcast, and he said that while he was on The Office, he never felt like anything was enough for him. He always wanted more. He suffered from the disease of wanting more. Even though he was on a very successful sitcom making buku money, I think they said he was making like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know if it was per year or I'm pretty sure it was probably per episode, or maybe per season. He said that he still wasn't satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted to make millions of dollars. He wanted to be a movie star. He didn't understand why he wasn't considered the next Jack Black, the next Will Ferrell. So he never really was happy while he was doing that show. And this is just a testament of, count your blessings. Be grateful for what you have, especially if you're able to pay your bills. You got your health. You have a roof over your head, food in your belly. Be grateful. Please be grateful, because all of that can be taken away from you. And so I think his point was, now he realizes that when he was doing The Office, he should have appreciated it more. So I think now he's realizing that, he wasn't in a good mental state back then, and he definitely should have appreciated what he had more back then. Moving on from there, let's talk about Tori Spelling. Tori Spelling of 90210 fame. Okay, so I practically grew up on watching Beverly Hills 90210. And of course, we all know Tori Spelling, the daughter of Aaron Spelling, a big-time TV mogul, produced a plethora of successful television shows. I mean, this guy was just like the king of TV. So especially like in the 70s, 80s, and I want to say the 90s as well. But anyways, so what surprised me, because I don't keep up with Tori Spelling like that, but what really surprised me is that she was seen recently at $100 a night hotel with her 5 children. So they want to make it out like Tori Spelling is really destitute right now, that she's suffering financially. She's having issues with her husband. I think they're separated, probably facing divorce. His name is Dean McDermott. So they share 5 children together. Now Dean, he's booked and busy. He's working. I think he's up in Canada doing a couple of TV shows or something. Tori Spelling is not doing much of anything, and supposedly she has no money. So what I don't understand is that how do you go from coming from privilege to now you don't have any money. Now, I understand that when her father passed away, Aaron Spelling, she only inherited $800,000 from his $600 million fortune. And I didn't go deep into the article, so I'm not really sure, but I did read something that said that her mother said that the reason why Tori Spelling got such a small amount of money from her father's estate was because she's very careless with money. So what are you going to do with all that, with the rest of that money? There's hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, what's going to happen with all of that? If it's not for your children and your grandchildren, then what is it for? Like, I don't understand. I understand this whole concept of, you want your children to be self-sufficient and you want your children to not be so dependent on the parents' money. But $600 million is a lot of money. If Tori Spelling and her children did nothing else for the rest of their lives, they'll still be well taken care of. I just don't understand this concept of, I need my children to suffer. I don't get it. I don't know what's really going on there, but coming from a $165 million mansion to a no-tell motel with your 5 children, Tori, what is tea, girl? What is going on? Moving on from there, we have Melanie Griffith. So Melanie Griffith, she has been divorced from her ex-husband, Antonio Banderas, ever since 2014. They're married for nearly 20 years. I think they have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 kids together. I don't really remember. But at the height of their relationship, at the height of their love, Melanie Griffith had gotten a tattoo on her arm of Antonio's name. Now, it was a heart with the name Antonio written in the middle of it, and she showed it off a lot, right? Now, little side note, when Antonio and Melanie got together, I was not happy about that at all. Like if anybody cares about what I felt and what I thought about their marriage. But I adored Antonio Banderas, and I kind of saw Melanie Griffith. I mean, no offense, I don't know the woman, but she came across, kind of like an airhead. That's how she came across. She might have been the most intelligent woman in the world. I don't know, but she just came across that way. I don't know if it's because of her demeanor or because of the roles that she played. She played these Marilyn Monroe type, breathy type of airheadish actress roles. I never cared for her being with Antonio Banderas. So I was really disappointed because I adored Antonio. I always fantasized Antonio marrying Salma Hayek. I thought Antonio and Salma Hayek would have been a dynamite couple. But anyways, nobody listens to me. So she's been split from him since 2014, and around that time, she began the process of having the tattoo removed. Well, I think now the tattoo has officially been removed, and she has replaced it with the names of her children. And I just wish that Selma Hayek was available. I'm pretty sure Antonio has moved on to somebody else and whatnot, but I'm thinking of all those years wasted. I think Selma Hayek and Antonio Banderas could have built an empire, but those are just my 2 cents on that. Moving on from there, let's talk about Aretha Franklin. Okay, so there is an issue with Aretha Franklin's estate. Aretha Franklin passed away, I think around 2018 or so, and she had 4 sons. She had her first son when she was only 12 years old, her second son when she was 15 years old. And during this time, Aretha Franklin was a rising star. Even though she was a teen mom and all of that, she was, a rising star in Motown. Later on, she got married to Theodore Ted White. They had a child together by the name of Ted. And then after that, she got married to her road manager, and his name was Ken Cunningham, and they had a child together named Cacaf Cunningham. Well, Ted and Cacaf they're the ones who are in court right now. The trial has already started because they're disputing who should be the executor of their mother's estate. So in 2010, Aretha Franklin signed a document that made Ted executor of her estate. But then in 2019, a handwritten document was found that named her son Cacaf as executor of her estate. And that document that was found in 2019 was something that she had also handwritten in 2014, and it was found stuffed in a couch. So one of the things that they're talking about in this trial is that, especially the side, the son that's trying to purport the 2014 will as the official will, he's saying in court that Aretha Franklin did all of her work in the living room. She did her contract negotiations, her phone calls, she slept on this couch. Everything took place on this couch. So because this second will was found in the couch, stuffed in the couch, it only makes sense that that was the official will. But the other son is saying, no, the first will is her official will that named him as the executor of her estate. So that's what they're in court battling right now. The trial should only be lasting about 2 days. It's going to be a very short trial, and then they're going to go on from there to decide who is the executor of her estate. But it's not like she has a lot of money. I think they estimated her worth, the value of her estate, at about $4 million. So we're not talking about really life-changing money. But hopefully I can keep up with the outcome of the trial. CardiB. Cardi B, her daughter Culture celebrated her 5th birthday, and Cardi and her husband Offset gifted her a $20,000 Hermes Birkin bag. And people can do whatever the hell they want to do with their money. I'm not tripping on that at all. But the bag didn't even look like a bag for a little girl. The bag looked like a bag for a grown woman, who's got, she's got to put her car keys in there. She's got to put her bills in there. Like, what is this 5-year-old going to do with this grown-up looking bag? I thought it was going to be a cute little tiny miniature Birkin bag, but to me, it looked like almost like a regular. It wasn't that big, but I don't know. I just can't imagine a 5-year-old walking around with that bag, because it kind of looked like a grown woman's bag. But I mean, do whatever you want with your money. $20,000 in a bag, if you've got it, great. But don't ever let us hear y'all talk about how y'all are struggling financially. Y'all are, filing for bankruptcy. Y'all are destitute, opening up GoFundMe. If y'all got money like that, I don't ever want to hear Offset or Cardi B talking about how they don't have money in the near future. Moving on from there, DennisRodman, he's 62 years old. When I found out that DennisRodman was 62 years old, I felt so ancient, because I remember when he was at the height of his basketball career, when he was playing for the Bulls, and the Bulls were winning those championships back in the 90s, like back to back with Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. I remember those days. My cousin was so obsessed, but I digress. So he's 62 years old, and he's kind of sort of been in the news a little bit. He just got a tattoo of his much younger girlfriend's face on his own face. So on his cheek, he's got a big old tattoo of Yella, because that's her name, Yella, on his face, and it looks horrific. One of the black ink stars put it on his face. Y'all, if you're gonna put a tattoo on your face, it needs to be like thebomb.com. It needs to be super detailed, shaded just right, colored just right. You can't be doing no 1 dimension, 2 dimension type of tattoos on your face, especially if it's of another face. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't like it. So DennisRodman says that back when he was in the NBA playing for, I'm assuming when he was playing for the Chicago Bulls, in his little entourage, he had a friend by the name of Mimi Marks. She was a transgendered woman who was like a Marilyn Monroe impersonator. And he says that when he would hang out with his NBA friends and his own entourage, I guess sparks were flying between some of the players and Mimi Marks, because he says that some of the players on his team had made out with Miss Mimi Marks, but he won't name any names. He says he's going to take that to the grave with him, or unless, the right price is named for a tell-all book, then maybe his story will change. Who knows? But he says, yeah, some of his teammates got hot and heavy with Miss Mimi Marks. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.